You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 181 of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Hewart, and as always, I am with my mediocre co-host, Joe.
You've used that. That's mediocre because you've used that at least once before, if not twice.
All right, here I was gonna say like my healthy friend, because I want to talk about wellness, but I don't know how to describe you because you are very healthy, but it's like to an annoying degree where you always ask me about running, and I just knew this was going to come up without.
I might run. I don't know if I'm annoyingly healthy, but Chad's kind of annoyingly healthy with his keto nonsense.
Chad is very healthy. Yes.
I ate a handful of M&Ms not too long ago, so like I got you, girl.
Okay, but for real, because I know this isn't really what we're talking about today, but for real, if you look at the Teach Better team and what we looked like 2 or 3 years ago versus now, there has been massive health decisions made on our team. You guys are all about like being healthy, losing weight, being athletic. Like you boys are crazy.
Chad basically shed an entire human being off of himself.
Okay, but he did. If you listen,
I know, he really did. Like legit.
Yeah, he lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know how much, but enough. Go look it up.
I'm gearing up for, so this is, let's see this, we're recording this on Monday. It's going to come out next Monday. So, right? Yeah. So I should have run my 26.2 before this comes out, because I'm planning to run it this weekend. So
Ooh.
Hopefully by the time this actually releases, I'm still alive and feeling good at 26.2 miles on I'm going to do my marathon on my own. That I've owed. I've got to get it done. So this is what's happening. So I guess I guess we'll see how I do with that. That may or may not be healthy.
No, you are going to be awesome. I know that I pick on you a lot, but I'm very excited for that. And I think that us continuing to emphasize being healthy on our team is a good thing. You guys were just obnoxious about it early on, and now it's more healthy.
I know we joke about that, and I know we joke about you not running, whatever, but you have been doing, you walk every day with your dogs. You've been increasing how much you walk far. You're also doing a yoga challenge right now that apparently
kicking my butt.
Every guy that's tried to match you on doing it can't even get through like one thing. So I'm not even going to attempt it at this point. I think it's something that we try to push. And today we had a webinar today where you and Chad, it was about getting into the new normal, getting back to the new normal. We actually ended up having a stand of like 10, almost 15 minutes. That was just them continue with follow-up questions about just taking care of yourself mentally and preparing yourself. And so we really did talk a lot about that. It's just an important topic that will never cease to be important. It's going to continue, and even more so right now than ever before.
Well, and that's true. I'm hoping that in the space we're in, people really have almost gotten the gift of time to focus on themselves. I know that I've tried to take advantage of that a ton. And right before this episode, we actually went live on Twitter and asked our network, like in episode 181, what do you hope that Jeff and Ray discuss? And one of the submissions we got from Maria Lehey, I think. She is from Oak Lawn, Illinois. She wanted us to talk about teacher wellness and well-being. And when I brought that up to you, it was like, oh my gosh, that's the same thing that came up on our webinar today of how can we not only choose to be healthy, but put it into our routine and make it a priority still, even when we get busy again. And, I think there's a lot of people who can do 10-day challenges or whatever. Right now I'm doing a 21-day challenge. I think most people can say, oh, I can get through that. But how do you purposefully make sure it's a part of your routine, like in August or something?
75 days.
Okay, that seemed really hard. I'm just saying.
That's the point, though. 30 days is you'll form a habit. 75 days, you'll change. You'll form an actual lifestyle. So, I'm now so it used to be my favorite things in the world were fried chicken. Just any form, shape, whatever, fried chicken, fried fish, and French fries. I've not had any fried chicken, fried fish, or French fries, or any fried food for 175 days now because I made it to 75. I refused to take my daughter to Chick-fil-A until I hit 75 days because I didn't trust myself. Then
French fries shouldn't count.
we've gone over this. They count. They're
They don't count.
right. And so I got there and I ended up taking her because I love Chick-fil-A chicken and their waffle fries. Oh man. And I went, I didn't even like, I didn't like, I was like, I looked at them on my end, it was looked good, but I didn't have like a craving. I didn't have to fight it because I had gone long enough. So if you push yourself long enough, it's just a mental like strength that you get. I haven't had that for, it's 174, 175 days now. Or soda, which I've cut soda out before, so that's not as big a deal. But the fried food like is massive for me because like it's so easy to stop and grab something fried, right? To grab
So
some fries.
you have to do it for 75 days. Truly is what you
That's
believe.
my
If
challenge.
you
If you do 75 days, you're less likely to break it because it's part of your lifestyle, not just a habit. Habits can be broken. Lifestyles are less likely to be broken. You know, Chad's whole thing with his keto is that he talks about like how he's tried a lot of different things in the past and they work. And I said, yeah, because you were doing diets, you were doing challenges. I said, the biggest thing that I noticed with Chad, because I was traveling with him all the time, is that when he switched to keto, and the reason it doesn't work for a lot of people when it gets a bad rep is because people don't do it right. Chad made it his lifestyle, and therefore it completely transformed the way his body breaks down fat and all these things, and it's worked for him, and he's actually healthier because of it. And I think that's the problem is that's why diets don't work because diets stop or they're going to end, or they're not really the thing. They're just something you're trying so you can break them. But if it's the way you live your life, it changes.
So if we're right now, if you're listening to this episode, we're like at the midpoint of June. So you're not quite going to be able to get there by the start of school, but you'll actually be kind of close.
Pretty close, yeah.
Pretty close. So this could be something that you put in place. You do it all summer. I mean, I won't lie to you. I really hope I've had this goal and I really hope I can keep to it. But this 21-day yoga challenge, I just want to keep doing over and over. I really enjoy it, which I hadn't found something that I liked. And now that I said that out loud, I'm going to get messages from you about it. But I'm on day 17 and still I'm like, I really like this setup. So I really hope to still keep with it. It is a little intimidating though to think that I'd have to do that 2 more times before I even got to that point.
Two things. One, hope's a horrible strategy.
Oh, don't do this to me right now.
Two, and more importantly, but seriously, have you thought through what are you going to do after 21 days? Do you have a plan?
I'm going to start it over.
Here's where I would challenge it and maybe think of something different is because if you continue to start that over every 21 days, you're going to have to mentally fight through starting over because it ends.
Sure.
So it's really hard to have a lifestyle if it ends every 21 days. So if you could just find like, I know the people that put that on, they have an awesome channel. I'm willing to bet they probably have a daily thing they put out.
That's
so
true.
If you can make it after 21 days on day 22 and beyond, it just becomes a thing you do every morning, and then it becomes your lifestyle.
Yeah, I do. I agree with that. There is some elements that I think I could incorporate to make sure.
That doesn't mean you can't do 3 of the 21 days first and then get to that point, but that's just something to think about when you do challenges because challenges end just like a diet ends. And
I do think, though, it's slightly different, and maybe this won't go to your point, but the challenge I'm doing, 21 days, I have not gotten through one workout. It is so hard. I'm doing it, but I can physically do like 70% of it. I'd love to be able to do the whole thing.
Do you know what I mean? Maybe by like the 3rd time through, you'll actually be able to rock out all 21 days.
Like one of the things
maybe that's your goal. Your actual challenge is to do that again until you can do it all with just the sweat, but not like dying. And then you'll be able to get into like a daily thing, and it's easy at that point. Then you can do the 21 days every day, like just.
Dude, I just want to say it's been that good where I'm like, I am so determined to be able to do this challenge because it is so stinking hard. The trainer's awesome.
I think I hope if you're listening, the biggest thing is like because August, and we got that a lot today. You touched on that. Is like a lot of people are like, yeah, like right now it's fine, but like in July is okay, but like August gets so crazy all the time, especially when we don't know what's going on. It's gonna be really important to try and get things into so that they're not habits, but they're the way you live your life. So what I would do now is put things in place with a schedule as if you were going to school, which I understand is really hard to do right now. But if you normally leave your house at 6:30 in the morning or 6 in the morning or whatever it is to get to school, you need to do your routine so that you could theoretically get showered and get dressed and go. Or if you do it afterwards, whatever, like set your routine up now for as if you were at school for your normal time so that when you get into August, it's just part of your day and it doesn't, because otherwise you're gonna get to August and be like, oh well, like I usually slept at 8 and then I did my workout and I was good, and now I gotta get up at 5, so I'm never gonna be able to do my workout because when I get home I got family time. Well, if you put that in, I think that's a really important piece to do. It's why it's tough to do, like to start something like on a break or whatever, because your life's not the same. So
Yeah,
that would be my I guess my advice. Yeah,
your
sure, I'll do
insight.
advice.
Yeah.
My insight, whatever. Yeah, so that's
The
what I
only
do.
thing I do have to say, and I know we're going to have to conclude this and get to our episode, is that I have started doing yoga because I didn't want to get up any earlier in the morning. I now do it before bed, and I like do the yoga and then shower and then go to bed. And I never thought I could. I actually really have enjoyed working out in the evening. It's like a cool down. Otherwise, I go to bed and my brain's on a million to do
Same thing,
lists.
Brian. Yeah,
Yeah, so do it.
I actually really like. I don't do them all the time, but I really like late night runs. Like a 10 o'clock. I mean, it's weird because I'm like, oh, I had all this daylight. Now I'm gonna run. I gotta put on my legs, like my light and stuff like that. But I like it because you finish in like the world's kind of quieter, like which
Yeah.
is the same at 5 a.m. or whatever. But at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, like it's pretty quiet. It's dark. It's peaceful,
Well,
and then you
and
come home and hopefully crash.
I was gonna say most of the family's asleep, and for me, I had the idea because you would always say like, oh, I got to go on a run tonight, and I'm like working out at night, but I've loved it. It's been wonderful. So
That's good. See, and that's something that you can easily continue.
right, because it's totally practical. I completely agree.
It's after you be back from work anyway, so that's actually great. So, see, you were taking my advice without even knowing it.
I know. I don't want the world to know that I took Jeff Gargas's advice. Whatever. Anyway, the
All
point
right.
of this episode beginning is get in healthy habits. We care about you. You need to care about yourself. And I lived for a long, long time not worrying about taking care of myself. And it's time to
And
get out of that mindset.
if you need some help, you need some accountability, Jeff at teachbetter.com. I got you back.
But I warn
Anyway,
you, it's intense. He's the worst
no.
accountability friend.
All right, so let's talk about this episode. So Tyler Cummings is someone Tyler and I connected kind of randomly on Twitter a while back. I don't know, several months ago, and we're just like, hey, let's connect and like just chat about like, well, hey, what do you do? What do you do? And we got along. And I'm like, hey, why don't you jump in on this daily drop-in things that we're doing? And we were doing our daily drop-ins every morning for with school closing and stuff. And he came on, we had a blast, just chatting and talking. I like the stuff that they're doing with the school status. And then I'm like, hey, why don't you host a master chat? And his team hosted master chat. It was great. He came on. We actually had another couple people on his team jump on too. We had a blast. So I was super excited to have him on this. Tyler currently he works with SchoolStatus, and we're going to let him tell you about what SchoolStatus is. He works training educators on how to utilize the platform, how to utilize the data and the communication that they have there. Prior to that, I think he said 15 years education, teaching English, and still is at his old high school, still the voice of the Jaguars. He goes through like all the people in his family that are teachers and educators. The guy's an educator through and through, and now he gets to work with educators. It was super awesome. He pulled off to the side of the road on his way home to chat with us. I appreciate him so much for that. So I really would just want to get into the episode. Ray, anything you want people to take away from this?
Let's do this.
All right, episode 181 with Tyler Cummings. All right, we're here. We are chatting with Tyler Cummings. Tyler, it's super awesome to talk to you. We've been like basically becoming best friends. I mean, over the last couple months here, you did a daily drop-in with me.
Mm-hmm.
You hosted mastery chat. Then we chatted after the chat, and here we are on the podcast. I have to let our listeners know they need to know your dedication and your level of awesomeness. That you are on your way home and you pulled over so that you didn't make anybody wait to do this. We told you, hey, you can get home, we can reschedule, and you're like, no, we're doing this right now. So you are rocking this out in your car on your way home. So we really appreciate that. It's super awesome. Super excited to just learn more about you, kind of dive into your story. Before we get too far into that, man, how you feeling right now? Other than probably wanting to be home.
Well, I do want to get home, but this is the first time that I've gotten out of the house since March, where I've gone and talked with some teachers. So it was kind of a cool day today, being able to get out and taking as many precautions as I can. I have a disposable mask that I actually threw away just a little bit ago because I made my last stop, and but I've got a chance to get out of the house, which is really novel. That was kind of exciting.
Well, I'm so glad you included us in your awesome trip. That's so cool.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, Tyler, I want to make sure our listeners can learn more about you. I know you've been involved in the team for a while, and obviously your dedication is through the roof. I've been trying to get Jeff to be half as dedicated as you are. But would you mind
Jeez.
kind of sharing? Was that not okay? Sorry, Jeff. I'm trying
No,
to
you're
get,
good.
we want our listeners to learn all about you. So would you mind telling us a little about yourself?
Sure. So I Gosh, I don't know where to start. I guess I'll start with my teaching. I started teaching 2003 ish, give or take, and taught high school English at a really small school. I was the English department. So I taught ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th grade English and loved it and really cut my teeth teaching there. Uh, and that was a great experience. But it was a small private school and it was in the middle of nowhere. So, in order to move on with my career, to move up at all, I really needed to get into the public education sphere. And so I went to and got a graduate degree at Mississippi State. And from there, ended up in DeSoto County, which is just south of Memphis. It's a bedroom community for Memphis, and it's the largest school district in the state. And I was at one of the larger schools in that larger district where I stayed for the next almost 15 years at DeSoto Central. And those are great people. Still love them. In fact, I'm still the voice of the Jaguars. So go Jags. On Friday nights, I still call the football games, and that's a lot of fun. And my wife there, she was teaching across the hall, so it was really hard to miss her. And our first date was the prom. So
Wow.
from that,
That's
yeah.
cool.
So from that, um, we just celebrated our 8th anniversary just a little while ago, about a week ago, and it was a. But that's it was education's just been part of my life. My mom was a teacher, so growing up was always in classrooms and helping her in the summer, reorganize her classrooms and things like that. My sister is a teacher. My niece is in an education program. She should finish up this next year. My brother, he is in the military, but he teaches soldiers how to be soldiers, and so it's just kind of one of those things. It's in our blood.
Very cool. So now you said this was the first day you got to get out and you're working with teachers. So that's in your current role. Like, what were you doing today? What were you out doing with educators today?
So I left the classroom in, I forget, 2016, 17 timeframe, and I started working for a company called SchoolStatus. And so SchoolStatus, what we do is we take all of the data that exists for your student information system, and that can be anything from like Power School to Infinite Campus to there's a whole host of them. But we take all of that stuff plus the third party benchmarks. So the things like your Renaissance or iReady or iStation or there's all kinds of those sorts of tests and also your state tests. And we put all of that data together in one spot and we try to make that data actionable and measurable. And so my role is to help educators understand how to use data in either their classroom or in their school, and then more importantly, how to communicate that data with parents, how to talk to parents about data, how to talk to parents about what's going on with their kids, because sometimes that's a thing that we don't always. It seems like an obvious thing that we should talk to parents about their kids, but we don't always do that. So that's my role, and I was working with some teachers today, um, some principals and a couple teachers and a couple counselors, and showing them how to utilize SchoolStatus, how to utilize data, and but most importantly, how to have those important conversations and open those lines of communication so that when something like COVID-19 comes, we already have an established method of communication that we can fall back to.
And I love as I've gotten to know SchoolStatus and what you guys do. I love the fact that there's so much data that you put together. You make it accessible, easy to understand. But then I love the fact that like that in a lot of cases would be enough. But you guys have such a focus on yeah, that's great. But if we're not utilizing this data the right way, it's really not anything more numbers. So it's about this communication. How do we actually use the data that we're collecting, that we're putting together to communicate with parents? And you have these different means for that and stuff. So I love that focus of yours on that. So very cool
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of companies that do data analytics, and there's a
mhm.
lot of companies that do communication. We're pretty confident we're the only company that is out there that is utilizing data analytics to foster communication. And that's been just a tenet of who we are, and it's something that we really, really want to uh, focus on.
Awesome. So, so I want to talk to you about this because pretty long career, both teaching, then transitioning out, and becoming, and working with educators now with this with the group with SchoolStatus. A lot of movement in your career, a lot of changes, a lot of time, a lot of knowledge. So I'm interested to hear this story. So we like to share stories about failure or challenges that we come across. So can you take us with you there? Share a story with us about a time that you've had a failure or a challenge you've had to overcome. Share us with us what happened. How did you overcome that? And then what did you take away from that?
Yeah, so I've done a lot of different things in my life, and one of the things that was when I was in college, I was going to be a lawyer. That was what I was going to do. I was going to go to law school, and I was going to be a lawyer, and I was going to be successful, and I was going to be rich, and I was going to have tons of money. And being a lawyer meant that I was going to have money. That was kind of, you see lawyers on TV and they're rich, and so that was kind of my thought process, at least in college. So I did the LSAT and actually did pretty decently on it. I'm a good test taker, I guess. And then I went to law school, and in law school, um, I found out really quickly I don't like the law. I didn't like being a lawyer. I didn't like lawyers. And so if there's any lawyers listening, I'm sorry. But if there are any lawyers listening, then they probably also know what I'm talking about. Lawyers are a strange and interesting breed of people that I didn't match well with them. So it was one of those things where after that first year of law school, I was actually sitting on the front porch of my parents' house with my dad, and he was asking me if I was, enjoying it, and I was telling him, yeah, it's really interesting. And he said, yeah, but are you enjoying it? I was like, yeah, yeah, it's great. It's really interesting. He said, yeah, but you don't seem to be having fun. You don't seem to like you're never say anything like this is you like this. And yeah, he kind of turned me around a little bit and said, "Look, it's okay to not do this. You don't have to do this. What would you do if you weren't worried about anything else? If you just stop all of this, what would you do?" And I said, I always thought it'd be cool to be a teacher." He said, "Then why aren't you doing that?" And so I really switched focus there and then, and that's where I moved from law school into education. And the thing is about education, you don't do it for the money, of course, but I have found that the more fun I have with it and the more time that I devote to this profession, the more it gives back to me in ways that are, I wouldn't say better than money, but I will say that are in some ways equal to. I've gotten more time from this profession that I wouldn't have otherwise. I've gotten more friends from this profession that I wouldn't have otherwise. I've gotten more opportunities. And one of the coolest opportunities, at least in grad school, I got to be weightless and go and fly on the Vomit Comet. That was just very soon after all of this. I got to go in down to New Orleans and take a flight with Northrop Grumman on their Vomit Comet, and that was a really, really cool opportunity that I wouldn't have otherwise. So, sometimes it's okay, and I realize this now, and I didn't, at least when I was 20, I didn't know that it's okay to try something and not like it and not have to follow through with it. It's okay to say, this isn't right. I'm going to do something different.
It's about following. I love that he turns around and was like, "Hey, like, what would you do? Like, what are you actually passionate about? If you're not loving this, like, money is great and everything, but if you're hating every bit of it, like,
Hmm.
there are a lot of people that make a whole lot, like, that don't make much money that are super happy, and there are a whole lot of people that make a ton of money who are miserable. So,
Exactly. I've got a lot of friends from law school, and I'm still in touch with a lot of them, and they're doing well. They're doing absolutely fine for themselves, but they're all jealous of me. And we have this conversation a lot. Like, you know, man, if I had to do it all over again, I'd do what you did. I'm like, well, just do it now. Come on, come join me. It's fun.
Tyler, you have obviously done a lot. You continue to support educators. I mean, I even just your failure story, there's so many nuggets of information that allow us to just be really good at reflecting and making the right decisions for our own lives, but also, hopefully trying to also leave a powerful impact. And when it comes to education, what's really keeping you excited about all that you're doing? What really keeps you here and makes you happy?
Uh, so so today, right? Today was a really cool day where I got to go and work with a new group of people that I had not met before, and and that's a really cool thing to be able to be put in a position where you meet new people and you do new things with them and show them a new way, a way that they didn't necessarily not think of before. I don't want to put it like that, but because talking to parents is not an outside the box thing, but being able to put it into perspective and help them look at something from a new perspective is a really exciting thing because it's that spark. Every teacher knows that spark of understanding where, oh yes, that makes sense and I get it. And so I'll share this one with you today because it was, I think, really lit that spark with the folks that I was talking to. I was talking about attendance. And so, as educators, we get attendance. It makes sense. We understand that if kids don't come to school, you can't teach them. But parents don't understand attendance. They just don't get it. They think of it from the perspective of a job, or if I miss a day of school, then what do I do? I send my kid back to school, and he just picks up where he left off. Because at work, if I miss a day of work, I just pick up where I left off. But in reality, if a kid misses a day of school, they're missing that day, and then when they come back, they have to miss the time where they're making up the work that they missed from the last time they were there. So they're really missing like 2.5 days. And so having that perspective and then being able to describe that to a teacher, and then they say, "Oh, yeah." And I hope some of folks in the audience are saying, "Oh, yeah," because that made sense to me today. And it really clicked with me when I was talking to some folks and they were telling me that's how they were looking at this. I was like, ah. And then being able to turn around and use that and talk to others about it today, and they were saying, ah, and having that moment, that's the kind of thing that drives you, that says those ah moments, those, oh yeah, yeah, that's right, that's cool.
Absolutely. I love those moments. I think a lot of teachers live for those moments, and that's what keeps us going. I think that's fabulous. When it comes to advice to actually maybe accomplish that, or if you have advice for new teachers that are in the field, what type of advice would you offer an educator, maybe who wants more of those aha moments?
Well, it, I think the best advice I can give any educator, whether they are a 30-year veteran or a 3-month newbie, uh, call your students' parents today. It might be summer right now, so maybe not right now, but call your students' parents as soon as you can. Communicate early and communicate often. The more you talk, and this is teach better talk. So talking, as we know right now, is way more personal and way more fulfilling than sending a text message or sending a mass message or an email. Email is the most impersonal form of communication, but it's what we default to a lot. And going to email is okay. It's good for certain pieces of information. Going to a text message is good, and text messaging is actually quite useful and helpful for educators. But the best possible thing that we can do for our students today is talking to mom, talking to dad about those kids, and having conversations with them. And if you're listening to this and you're an educator, please, 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 first thing you do, first part of the school year, call those parents and establish that line of communication. Text them as much as you want later, email them 1,000 times, but definitely pick up the phone. And sometimes it's uncomfortable, but pick up the phone and make that call.
I love that advice. As a parent, I can tell you that would completely change the relationship we have right off the bat, which is a good thing. So loving it, loving this, Tyler. You're not doing bad for a guy that's sitting in a car. Let me tell you, man, doing all
I'm
right.
trying. I'm trying.
All right, so let's have some fun. These next 6 questions, we're gonna do your goals to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. You ready to do?
I hope so.
All right. What is one ed tech tool you cannot live without?
Oh, school status, obviously.
Give us a book that you're reading right now.
I just finished the Splendid and the Vile. It's Erik Larson, and it's about Winston Churchill before the during the war and before the U.S. enters the war. It's an amazing book. Nobody writes like Larson. So if you have a chance to read that one, read it for sure.
Who should we follow on Twitter or Instagram today?
You can follow me. I'm at Tyler Cummings, but more importantly, you should follow at School Status app. That's School Status's Twitter handle, and our founder. You should follow Russ Davis, and he is at that Russ Davis because Russ is way cooler than I am.
What's a good YouTube channel or website for educators?
I really like TEDx. I think TEDx is. I end up watching it way too often, more than I want to admit. But I think TEDx is great because it has uh, the really, really amazing stories that don't take super long time to watch, but you can get some really great ideas really quickly.
Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
Well, like I said before, you really need to call your parents. You got to text your parents. You've got to, if you can, go out and visit with your parents. The more that we are in touch with our community, in touch with the parents of our students, the better your students will do in school.
Now, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
So, from another book, Chris McDougall book, he wrote Born to Run, and in it there's Cabello Blanco, and Cabello Blanco said to Chris McDougall, think easy, light, smooth, and fast, because if easy's all you get, then that's not so bad. And I really like that idea. It works well if you're running, if you're teaching, whatever you're doing.
I love it. Good book.
That's a great book.
Well, I want to make sure our listeners can connect with you, Tyler, continue to learn about what you're doing and what the amazing things you're involved in. Would you mind sharing how people can stay connected? I know you already mentioned your Twitter, but maybe your Instagram, your website, kind of all those details.
Sure. Yeah. So Twitter is at Tyler Cummings. Feel free to follow me there. I'm on Instagram as well. It's at Tyler and then Relight. So Tyler and then Tyler backwards. Um, and mostly there, I post pictures of places that I travel to because I travel all over the Southeast. Um, SchoolStatus.com is it's actually a great resource whether you're using school status or not. We have a blog there, and we try to post things that are not school status specific. um, I don't have Facebook, except I joined Facebook because you guys are on Facebook, so I joined so that I could kind of pay attention to that, but I don't really understand Facebook, so I'm still learning there. um, but that's about it for me.
I'm okay with that being the reason you're on Facebook. Like that's perfectly good. It's a good way to do it. So
Yeah,
you can find all the links and all the resources and everything we mentioned in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as the links to connect with Tyler, keep the conversation going. So make sure you head over and check out the show notes over at teachbetter.com for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and a review, we'd really, really appreciate that as well. Let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and connect with these amazing educators and share this podcast with them. Tyler, this was great, man. Super excited to have you on. Just so glad that we've connected and kind of just keep finding ways to do like either videos or audio, whatever we can together, man. I really appreciate you a lot. Appreciate you taking some
definitely.
time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. The more, the better.
Until next time, let's get out there. Let's teach better.